Okay. Thank you for your time. I just want to say thank you to everyone. I appreciate all of your support in any which way, shape, or form that you show it. I'm going to pick up where I left off a few days ago, which is, I think, at the beginning of the Solitary Island. I'm just kind of doing dry runs to give myself a ballpark idea for time stuff. For what I guess I would consider to be a realistic expectation. The end game here is a single segment run, which I've never done in this game before. I think, well, no, I don't think. My goal is to do the whole thing in under 7 hours. But I have a more realistic target of under 8 hours, which I guess we'll see when I do finally put this all together. We'll find out what my time is, and then based on what that time is, I'll make a decision on whether or not I want to make a couple more attempts to try and get a particular target time. Like if I'm at just over 7 hours, like 7 hours and 10 minutes or something like that, I'll probably, well, I don't know what I'll probably do, but if it's just over 10 minutes, I can definitely envision myself being willing to try and grind out those last 10 minutes, or whatever it is. If it's close, and I feel like I left a lot of time on the table that I could easily clean up, then, me knowing myself and who I am, definitely I could see myself trying to go ahead and try and get that sub 7 time. I'm not like a professional speedrunner. I don't even know if I'd consider myself even a speedrunner generally speaking. I just like to play challenges. I give myself challenges, and I try to accomplish the goal. I've been playing this game for a long time. Many years. I wrote a walkthrough for how to beat this game with level 6 characters, which took many years. It wasn't something that I worked on regularly. It was something that I would work on in the dead of winter. I live in the upper Midwest, and it gets pretty cold here in the wintertime. Specifically, January, February. Those months are pretty brutal up here. And, people don't want to be outside in those months. Ironically, I worked for years as a DirecTV installation technician in this climate. So, well, to be fair, I was hired in February of 18 and was in training for I think my first job solo was in April, which is about right because I think the expectation there would be that you do about 4 weeks of field training and then 4 weeks of classroom training. Um, not, they would mix it up, right? You'd go do a week of training and then come back and do another week of field training, maybe go 2 weeks of training, then 2 weeks of field training. Kind of, they would mix it up and stuff like that. So basically, when I was out on my own, I mean, winter was, winding down. So I didn't really have to work much outside in the winter of 17, 18. But the winter of 18, 19, the winter of 19, 20, the winter of 2021, those 3 winters I worked for them. And I resigned in November of 2021 for a number of reasons, but one of them maybe. Well, yeah, it was at the top of the list. Was I wasn't going to do another winter for them. That's why I waited as long as I could because the money was good. I mean, if I had been working in a different climate, that would have made my decision a little bit more complicated. But uh, anyway, it gets brutally cold up here in the wintertime. And I follow the NFL and Major League Baseball. So, let's just like, I guess, I don't know if you call it a hobby. I guess I play fantasy football, fantasy baseball. Okay, that's more like the hobby. Following the sport itself, I don't know if you call that a hobby. I don't really know what you would call that. I really don't know. Is following the NFL and watching football games considered a hobby? I don't know. Because you're not really actually doing anything. You're just sitting there. Let's put it this way: is watching a like a sitcom, would that be considered a hobby? I think no. When I was in high school, now this kind of dates me a little bit, but when I was in high school, there was a show on TV called Seinfeld. I'm sure most of you have heard about it. It's pretty popular. Even today, it's had a real revival, I guess you could call it. Um, Mainly because, well, I don't know. Anyway, I was a huge Seinfeld fan, right? When it originally aired, I still the show still has a lot to offer, but I view it from a different lens than I would have as a teenager. But either way, um, I liked the show. Now, this was before DVRs. DVRs did not exist in those days. We had something called a VCR, which I'm sure some of you have heard of and others are not really familiar with. But a VCR stands for video cassette recorder. So there were these things prior to DVRs that they were called VHS tapes. VHS tapes were just that exactly. They were like a little rectangle plastic box about, oh, I don't know, maybe an inch thick. And then, I don't know, maybe like 3 inches wide and maybe 9 inches long, something like that. I don't know the exact dimensions. And inside was there were two, I guess if you want to call them reels, but I don't know. I'm sure you people know what a cassette tape is or a VHS tape is. If you don't, Google it. Just Google VHS or VCR. anyway, that's what people use to record stuff, right? So I had a hobby. Uh, what I would do with Seinfeld. So this is what I did, right? So I'm a teenager, and if you're like, well, it's different these days, I guess, I'm sure, for some of you, and probably similar for some of you, but I guess I'm not really assuming anyone here that would be watching this is of a certain age. I'm just saying, how things change over time. When I was a teenager, plus where I lived, I'm sure has an impact on it, but I didn't want to be spending my time at home, right? When I was a teenager, I wanted to be somewhere not home. So basically, if I was at home, it was because I was either sleeping, eating, or, you know, I guess I did my own laundry. My mom probably would have done my own laundry, but I didn't want her doing my laundry. Probably for no other reason than, I didn't want her going through my pockets and going in my room and shit, Whatever, that's my shit. Get out of there. So, uh, I did my own laundry. So doing laundry or eating or sleeping or taking a shower, getting cleaned up, whatever, right? Uh, so I wasn't at home when any TV shows that I would have wanted to watch were on. And we didn't have cable TV. We never had cable TV. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think we had it for like a month once. There was like some kind of like free offer where you could get cable for a month, some sort of trial thing that I guess my dad must have signed up for because we had it for a month. I remember sneaking out of my room at like midnight and watching Tango and Cash, which in my family, R-rated movies were not. That was not allowed. We weren't allowed to watch R-rated movies. But I don't remember how old I was. Probably like 14 or 15 or 16. I don't remember, but I do remember sneaking out of my room and going to. It must have been the living room. We didn't have a TV in the basement at that time. In fact, well, we did have a TV in the basement when I was really little. Well, when I was like in grade school, I guess you could say, right? I wasn't like an infant or whatever, but when I was in grade school, we had a TV in the basement. I do remember that. But then, sometime right around junior high age, I suppose, maybe even earlier than junior high, the TV was moved, or the TV resting place. I don't know if it was the same TV or not, but the place where the TV was then upstairs in the living room. Uh, so I would have had to have, man, this is like going on, dude, we're at like 13 minutes, dude. 14 minutes on this bullshit, dude. This is the thing about this minigame, man. You can just totally just soak up time here. It's pretty much trash. Whatever, I don't even care. I know what I need to do here. Part of what I was doing for this whole uh, World of Ruin stuff was reteaching myself. So, like I said, I wrote a challenge for like a low level or zero experience challenge, level 6 character, right? So at the end of so when you get here and you start off with Celis in level 6, and then I would acquire Sabin, Edgar, and Setzer, and then that's it. And all four of those characters are level 6, and then we go and beat Kafka. That's the way it went. Well, anyway, I'm doing things a little bit differently here. What I'm doing here is more. So that challenge that I wrote was a low level speed challenge, okay? Now I started writing this thing, I don't know, 15 years ago, probably longer than that. A long time ago, okay? And I didn't know anything about. I don't even know if, like, I guess technically probably speed running was a thing back then, but it wasn't anything that I was like, nothing like it is today, right? And I wasn't going by a real world time. I was going by the timer in the game. So I think my timer in the game, I don't even remember what it is. Honestly, I really couldn't even tell you. I want to say it's less than 6 hours, though. Like 5 hours and some minutes. I don't remember how many minutes. I'm pretty sure it's less than 6 hours, though. But that's in game time. That's not real world time. The real world time is way more than that. Because there's a lot of grindage where it's like, okay, there's a certain desirable outcome. I load the game. If I get the desirable outcome, I save and then try again. Like, that's mainly for, like, acquiring GP. So, like, for example, the way I farm money in the world of balance is I steal Dragoon boots in Zozo. And it's a rare steal. And so, you know, it's not. I think the actual breakdown is 10 to 1. Dude, look at this shit. We're at almost 20 freaking minutes, dude, just for this stupid fish game. I was doing like 6 minutes the other day. I'm just gonna reset this shit, dude. 17 minutes can suck my ass. 17 minutes. I know I'm not really going for a crazy time here. It's just there we go. It's just for trial runs, but that number 521 means a little bit of something. It does mean a little bit of something. Not a whole lot because we're not grinding for harder time, but it does mean a little bit of something. Come on with this garbage, dude. So, anyway, dude, it's just continuing on with the bullshit, dude. Anyway, back to hobby, right? So, what I would do is I had two VCRs set up in my bedroom. It's probably faster to just kill him off. So, like I said, I had two VCRs set up in my bedroom, right? There was an antenna on the house, and I had a coax cable running from the antenna to my bedroom. I don't remember how many rooms had coax in them, but there were a few of them. So I had, who knows, a handful of TV shows that I watched. It would vary at different points, but honestly, you know what? There was only so many years that I had that set up before I just moved out. So you know, I honestly can't tell you all what specific shows that I would record, But I would have the VCR, the one VCR to set up to record Seinfeld, probably Frasier, Third Rock from the Sun was one of them. I don't remember what other shows. I'm sure there was a few more that I just don't recall. But anyway, when I would get home, you know, at like midnight or 1 a.m. or whatever, right? Uh, I would watch what shows I had recorded. Whatever shows that I would find interesting that would have aired over the course of the day were sitting there waiting for me on my VHS tape. And because I was this part was my hobby, so I had two VCRs set up. What I had started doing is cataloging the Seinfeld, right? So I had maybe 6 different tapes or something. I don't remember how many tapes I had, honestly. I really don't remember. But what I did is I went and I recorded Seinfeld, and then I dubbed out the commercials. With the second VCR, I would record the playback from the original, and then cut out the commercials for all the episodes. So now you can just go buy like a box set of Seinfeld and a bunch of DVDs these days. Well, in those days, they didn't even have, I don't even know that they had the VHS tapes available yet for sale at that point. It was like, that was something that was not like a thing back in those days. I don't think that anybody really had the idea yet to market sitcoms like that. That just wasn't a thing yet. So anyway, that was my hobby, was dubbing out or, recording the Seinfeld and then removing the commercials as I put them onto a different tape. And I had those tapes for a number of years. And then when I was in college, man, this is how dumb I was. Oh, man. So those tapes were, something that I had spent a lot of time on, right? And as time moved on, they became less important to me to the point where ultimately they just got disposed of. But when I was in college, there was this girl that I liked. And one time she asked me to give her a ride to school. And I was like, sure, yeah. Heck yeah. She was built, man. This chick was built. And especially on the top side, man, she had all the right things in all the right places. And a really pretty face. And through whatever conversations we had, she said something that she liked Seinfeld, so I gave her one of those tapes. I never got it back. And, it was like, that was something, a lesson that I learned. Never give anything valuable. Never give anyone anything that it's important that you get back. Anything that you ever loan to someone, loan it with the expectation that you may never see it again. And if it's something that it's really important that you see it again, don't loan that shit to someone. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. And especially when it comes to women, man. Like, I've had plenty of good interactions with women. Don't get me wrong. I was married once. I'm divorced, but I was married once. So obviously that one was really good for a good window of time, or I never would have married her. But women are. I hate to say it like in a general sense because everyone's different, right? Every individual, regardless if they're a man or a woman, is an individual, okay? And every individual has their own unique characteristics and individuality. With that said, however, there are generalizations that are accurate for a larger population. So it's all about sample size, right? So if you have a large enough sample size, you can say, generally speaking, this is, well, no, not generally speaking. With the large sample size that we have here, we can say conclusively that this is the data that was produced from the sample size, okay? So you can use that for a baseball player, for example, and say you can use a single season as a sample size. You can use multiple seasons combined as a sample size. You can use the whole entire career as a sample size. Either any way that you want to do it, you can take a sample size and say, okay, we have a large enough sample size here where we can say that there's a fair amount of accuracy that we can feel that the data that we're going to extrapolate from this, or the, how do I say this? We can say with a fair amount of confidence that we can make conclusions. We can say the conclusions that we can make from analyzing the data that we have here, we believe is pretty accurate considering the sample size, I guess would be the best way to put it, right? So the larger the sample size, the more accurate the data will play out to be. So if you have a small sample size, that might prove to be accurate. It's definitely possible that a small sample size can produce accurate data or accurate conclusions. But the bigger the sample size, the better the likelihood of your conclusions being accurate. Okay? And maybe it's just that I have really bad taste in women. That could very well be. Or the women that I'm attracted to. I don't know. I've been attracted to a wide variety of women over the years. The younger I was, well, I was just always attracted to women that I found to be physically attractive. That's just all there is to it. But, some women that are physically attractive are good people, like on the inside, And then other women who are physically attractive are disgusting people on the inside, And it's not really fair to say that women who are possessing a lot of the qualities prized by men are good or bad on the inside. I don't know that being beautiful on the outside has any real bearing on what kind of a woman is on the inside. It's just that women that have women who are beautiful on the outside have a lot more options at their disposal. They can I guess the way I've always seen it since I was a teenager was that depending on how blessed a woman is as it pertains to, her outward beauty, she has a lot of options, right? So because if she's a highly prized female, right? Um, she's gonna have a lot of options. There are gonna be a lot of men who want to take her out on dates and this, that, and the other, right? So with that being as it is, she's probably looking for certain qualities in a man, right? Or in a mate, however you want to look at it. Some women are actually seeking a mate. Other women are just seeking fun, I guess if you want to put it that way. Those women are typically only good for one thing, and you definitely do not want to, you don't want to get very close to a woman like that, because she only wants fun, which means she's good for one thing. And that's having fun, right? But a good woman is, good on the inside, right? Anyway, a woman who possesses a lot of the qualities prized by men. So let's say that she wants a man who treats her well, obviously, right? So a man who treats her well, okay. A man who will be a good provider. There's this long list of things, right? Well, there's a lot of men out there that can provide her with a good percentage of those qualities that she's seeking in a mate. But she can narrow the field and say, well, okay, a man who treats me well, okay, like that's not hard to find, or it shouldn't be, right? So a lot of the men that would have interest in her would treat her well. Okay, so all right, that's not hard for her to find. Well, as she goes through the list of the attributes she's seeking, I guess the point that I'm making is she just has a large pool to choose from if she has a lot of the attributes prized by men. And she is not going to be very likely to... She's gonna play the field, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that she's necessarily gonna sleep around, because if she's bright, she won't do that, because, as I said, women who are just out for having fun are really only good for one thing. And if she's bright, she'll be aware of that. And she'll be aware that if she chooses that kind of a lifestyle, that she will lose a lot of she'll find that men just won't be as interested in her. Or only certain kinds of men will be interested in her. Easy women are... Like I say, certain women are good for only one thing. And that's their choice. If that's the lifestyle they want to live, then that's up to them. I'm not here to say whether or not that is a good thing or a bad thing or whatever. I mean, you can make whatever inferences you want, but men when they are teenagers, right? They're not really men when they're teenagers, but males when they're teenagers and males when they're in their early 20s are very much interested in that kind of woman. That kind of woman will provide those young men with that thing that they desire. But as those young men mature and are looking for a relationship that, a woman they can trust, right? That's a huge deal. Um, because look, men who are in a relationship give up a lot for that woman. I mean, a lot. And depending on how demanding that woman is, their life can be at varying levels of happy, I guess. Going from like super, super, super happy to of all semblance of happy whatsoever, right? Based on the woman they choose to marry. But anyway, men give up a lot when they choose to be in any relationship that is like, a monogamous relationship or whatever, right? Like where they're not just playing the field, where they're committed, when they're in a committed relationship, okay? And I don't necessarily mean giving up a lot in the way of, being able to play the field. I mean, there's something to that, but that's not that big of a deal, it's not that big of a deal. But men will oftentimes they just give up a lot, they give up a lot. So, the things they give up in their life, they would never give up for a dude. No freaking way, man. So, at the end of the day, they're giving up all these things. And for what? Honestly, for what? Well, there's one specific thing. It's like three things. Okay? There is the physical side of things, the physical connection that a man and a woman share. That's definitely probably the first priority on a younger man's mind. But also there is, I guess what they would view as potential future returns from, this investment, right? So what I mean by that would be like, this woman being the mother of your children, right? Or potentially a wife, if it's a very serious relationship, right? If you're at the spot where, maybe this is the woman that you'll marry someday. And everybody's going to be different. I mean, for me, I guess what I was seeking was what I found. I mean, basically, I was happy, and then I was happily married for a window of time. I was happily dating, happily engaged, and happily married. And then sometime a number of years into the marriage, then it wasn't happy anymore. But basically what men are looking for is, companionship, someone to trust, someone to share their time with. Someone to love and who loves you back, I probably should have waited to do that. Yeah, and probably someone who's going to be the mother of your children too, right? I mean, when you're planning your future out and all that stuff, right? You're thinking positive, right? Everything's going to be good. Everything. This is, you're trying to put together this wonderful future, right? And you know, how many how many 55-year-old, no, I'm not anywhere near that old, but I'm just saying, how many 55-year-old married couples are actually really happy in their life, you know? I mean, there is like I think that men, at least that's the way I viewed it, was, I guess I kind of called it like a comfortable closeness, you know? You have this woman who you can trust, who you love, and who loves you in return, and you I guess you the male perspective is you don't want to have to date this woman anymore. You know, men don't like the dating, or at least, I mean, there are positives to dating, but I mean, generally it's just expensive, you know. And you're buying shit that you normally would not be buying, and you're doing this to please this woman, right? To make her happy. Okay? Because if she's happy, then she'll make you happy one way or another, right? That's like the way we look at it, I think. And to be fair, you know, having that really where is it? Normally I would also have that, what the hell is it called thing? I forget what it's called now. The charm bang, which I don't have right now, but normally I'm using it. I guess I would say that, you know, in all fairness and in all truth, the happiest I ever was in my life was when I was happily married / happily engaged, right? That window of time, I never felt happier, I never felt more fulfilled. Now, I would say that's probably because of a lot of reasons, but not the least of which was that my future was probably the brightest it ever was in my life, right? I've said for many years, the most important thing one of the most important, if not the most important thing in life is having something to look forward to, right? Or having a bright future. Having a bright future is a really big deal. If a person has no ambition no, nothing to look forward to. Uh, that's miserable, man. If you want misery in a nutshell, that's having nothing to look forward to. That's you gotta fix that. If you got nothing to look forward to, you gotta find a way to find some shit to look forward to. Because there's not much more miserable than having nothing positive to look forward to. Even if it's a small thing, even if it's the smallest thing. That's why I smoked cigarettes for 20 years. And ironically, I quit smoking cigarettes right around the same time when things started going sideways in my life, or in my marriage and in my life and all things together. Looking back on it, it was a good thing because, if I had still been smoking when I went through my divorce, I'd have been smoking like 3 or 4 packs a day. And who knows, I might be dead by now from all of that. So it was probably a blessing in the end that I did give up cigarettes before all that shit hit the fan. But, if you're a cigarette smoker, you'll be able to relate to this. And it doesn't matter what's going on in your world right now. It doesn't matter how bad this moment in time is. You know that in a short window of time, and your mind is looking forward to it, your body is looking forward to it, you're going to be able to go and have that cigarette that you're craving, right? And having that thing to look forward to is a really big deal. There are a number of so statistics will tell you that the majority of people who smoke cigarettes are poor people. Like, you go to the ritziest part of your where you live, wherever you live, the place with the most expensive homes, and you did a survey on a random street of everyone who lives there and what percentage of those people smoke cigarettes, and then you go to an apartment complex that is run by the county, where basically everybody that lives there they're living on welfare. They have probably no job, but basically the food in their bellies, the roof over their house, and the clothes on their back in one way, shape, or form are paid for by taxpayers, okay? Let's just put it that way. And then you go talk to those people and do that same study, and where's the wall ring at? There it is. And find out what percentage of those people smoke cigarettes. I would say an overwhelming vast majority of those people smoke cigarettes. Now, there's probably a number of reasons for that. What the hell is the other thing I put on him? Backguard. There's probably a number of There's probably a number of reasons for that. I don't want to try and get into all of those, but I would say that asking the person who lives in the rich part of town to give up their cigarettes is going to be a much easier task than asking the person living on welfare to give up their cigarettes. And the reason being is the person on welfare does not have a lot to look forward to in their life. Life is pretty hard right now for them, They're in a bad spot. they can come out of that. They can work at it and improve their position in the world. Um, they definitely can do that, and they can help themselves and get out of the situation that they're in. But I tell you what, those cigarettes, at least those cigarettes are something for them to look forward to. Something that makes their life a little bit better. I know it sounds silly, but I smoked for 20 years, and I'll tell you, it didn't matter what I was doing. I waited tables for a living for a long time. Well, no, I didn't. Actually, I did not wait tables for a long time. I did that. I guess if you consider working in a bar and working in a restaurant as waiting tables, because, technically, if you're working in a bar... Well, I guess it depends on if they sell food or not, but I don't think I ever worked in a bar that didn't sell food. So, I guess all total... What am I doing? This is a spot that I can get wiped out if I'm not careful. Anytime those exo rays can wipe me out. Gotta be smoke bombing exo rays. Let's see here. Well, there were different periods of my life where I held multiple jobs at the same time. But if you add up, if you don't count jobs that I held at the same time as separate from one another, and you just run that time concurrent to one another, I would have worked in a bar or restaurant, or bar and restaurant. Well, the first time I ever worked in a bar, I guess I worked there part-time. It was in a hotel. I worked there about a year. And then the next time I worked in a bar, it was a different hotel. And I worked there part-time, but within a short window of time. They asked me if I wanted to move, or be like, I guess kind of work in multiple departments. But I worked in that place for about a year, so let's just say 2 years. And then I worked in let's say 3 years. And then I ran a restaurant for like 2.5 years. Well, alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5, and then another bar. I guess, damn. I guess more than I thought. This one place I worked for the summer, it was like a seasonal place in a tourist town. I made pretty decent money there. I was making I only worked like 30 hours a week, but I was making $1,000 a week there. I thought about it at the time. I was like, man, if I could do this year round, I think I probably would. It was pretty stressful, but I never had to work more than 2 days in a row. That was the schedule that they agreed upon to hire me, so I was like, alright. But I guess that'd be about 6 years. I didn't realize it was that many years. Crap. Probably this is going to be bad. I didn't get my money set up right. I think I was at 3 and I don't think 3 is good. Nope. Damn it. Oh, and I didn't put... Of course, yeah, we're dead now. Freaking idiot. Probably.